Today I'm going to be walking you through the full crochet pattern for these simple mesh sleeves. So you're going to need 2 skeins of Caron Simply Soft yarn, a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, stitch marker and measuring tape is optional. So we're going to start with making our starting loop. Just wrap it around your finger like this and push a little bit of that top bit through. Go ahead and get it onto your hook, and we're going to begin with a starting chain. So to make a starting chain, you're just going to yarn over your hook and pull right through that loop. That's it, that's simple. So yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. So your starting chain is going to depend on what size that you're choosing to make. In this video tutorial, I'm working on an extra small. See the description below for details on the measurements, and also there's a link for the written pattern if you wanted to make another size. I do have sizes right up to extra large for this pattern. For size extra small or small, you're going to go ahead and work a chain of 222. So go ahead and work on those chains and then come back. Okay, so now that you finished your starting chain, we're going to work into the 3rd chain from the hook, and we're going to yarn over and do a double crochet. So yarn over your hook, push your hook through that 3rd chain, and then you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. You now got 3 loops on your hook. Okay, you're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops on your hook, and that's your double crochet, right? We're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip this next chain, and we're going to work another double crochet into the following chain. All right, and we're going to chain 1 again, skip that next chain, work a double crochet into the following chain. And you're literally just going to go ahead and keep on doing this all the way down your row to the very end. You're going to work a double crochet, chain 1, skip the next chain, work a double crochet, chain 1, skip the next chain. You're going to do that all the way to the very end and then come back. Okay, so now that you've finished this row, you're going to go ahead and chain 2 and turn your work. You're going to work a double crochet into that very first stitch of the row. You're going to chain 1, and you're going to skip that chain 1 space from the previous row and work into the next stitch, which will be in line with the stitches from the previous row. So you're just going to keep on repeating the same thing you just did for the last row, where you're going to work your double crochet, skip over that chain, work a double crochet, chain 1, skip a chain, work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1. You're going to do that all the way down the row, and you're going to go ahead and repeat this 13 more times for an extra small or small. Of course, for the other sizing, you can see the link to the pattern in the description below. Go ahead and finish that up and then come back. All right, so for this next row, you're going to go ahead and work up until where you want the neck hole to start. So for this one, I did it for 46 stitches, just repeating the pattern as you have been to this point. So go ahead and do it for 46 stitches or however many you need to get to the start of your neck hole. And then you're going to come back. So again, for extra small or small, work for 46 stitches. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and chain. You're going to go ahead and chain. For me, I need to do a chain of 38. And you want to keep in mind for the chains that you're doing, you're working it long enough that you can continue with your pattern. So you want to make sure that you're making it the length of not just those double crochets, but including the stitches in between, like this, okay? Because you want to make sure that when you get to the next row where we're going to be working into that chain, you need to have enough chains there that's going to continue to match the pattern, where you're working into the double crochets from the previous row, but also able to chain and skip a chain. So you have to keep that in mind when you are working this chain to leave space for the neck hole. I know that could sound a little confusing, but hopefully in this next couple steps in the video, it's going to make more sense. All right, so once you've completed your chain, you're going to count over those stitches and the chain 1 spaces. So in my case, I have to count 38 spaces total, stitches and chains. And that's where once I get to 38, it's matching my chain that I just made here for my neck hole. And that's where I'm going to reconnect into my work with a slip stitch. So yarn over and just pull right through both loops. Okay. Okay, you're going to go ahead and do a chain 3. And then you're going to continue on with your pattern into that next stitch, so that it's the chain 3 is going to represent a double crochet and a chain 1. And then you're skipping over those chains from the previous row, don't forget. So you're going to do your double crochets, your chain 1, skip over the chain 1 space from the previous row, work a double crochet into the stitch. All right, so go ahead and continue that all the way down to the very end of your row, and then come on back. Okay, so now that you've gone ahead and finished that row, you're going to do your chain 2 and turn your work. And then you're just going to go ahead and continue on with your pattern the way that you have been. So you're going to go ahead and do your double crochet, chain 1, skip over the chain 1 space from the previous row, work your double crochet into the following stitch. And you're just going to continue that all the way until you get to that neck hole where your chain is. All right, and you're going to still continue on the way that you were before, where you're going to be doing your double crochet into a chain, chain 1, skip over a chain, and you're going to keep on going. So here I am at that point. I just kind of fast forwarded a little bit, the magic of video. I wanted to show you how to do that. All right, so you're going to get to your chain for the neck hole here, and you're going to work your double crochet into the chain. And this is just like the starting row that you did into your first starting chain. Okay, so you're working your double crochet, chain 1, skip over a chain space and work into the next chain space, a double crochet. And you're just going to keep on doing that. Chain 1, skip over a space, work into the next one. And you're going to do that all the way down this chain for your neck hole. And then you're going to keep on going all the way right down the whole entire row. The amount of times that you're going to do it is just going to depend on how many rows you did on the last side. So this row is going to count as row 1 that you did down here at the beginning. Okay, so however many rows of work you did before you started that neck hole row is how many rows of work you're going to do now, and then come back. All right, so now that you've finished all of your rows, you've got your front and your back, we're going to go ahead and work on your sleeves. Okay, so you're going to fold your work in half, lining up this, you're folding it in half, lining up the short edge, right? Folding that. Because we're going to be working on closing the sleeves. I know I just said we're going to work on your sleeves. The whole thing is sleeves, but you know what I mean. All right, we're going to do slip stitches. So go into that very first stitch on one side, line it up to the other side of your work. Make sure that you're lining up the stitches and the spaces. We're going to be working into the stitches, and we're going to be working around the chain 1 spaces with slip stitches. Okay, so you're just going to yarn over and pull right through both loops on your hook, being careful that you're working through both sides so that we're closing a seam now. Okay, your work right now is going to be, when you're done here with these slip stitches, it's going to be inside out. So just take note of that as well. You'll have to flip it around so it's the right way after. But you're just going to work your slip stitches around the chain 1 spaces from the previous row and through your stitches from the previous row. Now, how many slip stitches you need to work right now is going to depend on, again, the size that you're working on. So if you're working on the exact same size that I am right now, which is an extra small or small, you're going to go ahead and continue this on for 80 stitches. And actually, unless you want it to be closed a little bit more, opened a little bit more, I mean, that's really your call. But just go ahead and work your slip stitches. I did it for 80 stitches in total. All right, so you can just go ahead and work those slip stitches to close up that, fasten it off. Do the same thing on the other end. Just going to use a yarn needle to hide your tail ends, flip it around, and you've got your finished crochet mesh sleeves.